Why every woman you know is obsessed with The Summer I Turned Pretty. On paper, it doesn't sound revolutionary. A YA story about a teenage girl, Belly, caught in a love triangle with two brothers. Yet somehow, The Summer I Turned Pretty has become a cultural phenomenon, not just among teens, but among women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. What is it about this soft, messy, sun-drenched series that makes grown women binge it, dissect it, and even throw themed parties around it? The truth is, TSITP isn't just about first love. It's about memory. It's about longing. It's about the blurred, fragile line between who we once were and who we still are. Courtney Gilberto, 39, knows the feeling. Once a bit-part actress in The Parent Trap, she now watches TSITP with her 10-year-old daughter. She says, "It reminds me of young love, being wanted by multiple boys, and feeling everything for the first time." That's the hook for so many women. This show doesn't just tell Belly's story, it tells our story. It makes us remember. For me, watching it at 36 was like opening an old journal I didn't even realize I still carried inside me. The scenes pulled me back to a version of myself that was both familiar and lost. Girlhood shaped by trauma, by neurodivergence, by emotions I hadn't yet learned how to name. Years ago, in rehab for severe OCD, I inhaled Jummy Han's trilogy in a blur, and I played the soundtrack on repeat like a heartbeat I could lean on. That world, sunny, fragile, and achingly tender, gave me ground to stand on when the real world felt too unstable. And isn't that exactly what girlhood feels like? A constant seesaw between chaos and magic? The first time a boy looks at you, and suddenly you're lit up from the inside. The not knowing what you want, only knowing that you want to be wanted. That's what Belly embodies. And that's why women keep coming back. Not because we never moved on, but because some feelings never stop echoing. Why we can't stop watching. Deborah Robbins, a therapist specializing in relationships, calls TSITP tender, layered, and psychologically rich. She explains that it works because it blends emotional intensity with romantic fantasy, an intoxicating cocktail that takes us back to our earliest understandings of love. For Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z alike, the show doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of a lineage. Robbins reminds us of 90210, Saved by the Bell, My So-Called Life. Those were the blueprint, the first places we saw love triangles, heartbreak, and the exquisite pain of wanting something or someone you couldn't have. When we watch Belly stumble through her first loves, we're not just watching her, we're re-watching ourselves. More than a show, a shared world. The obsession has spilled into real life. Women don't just binge the show, they recreate it. On TikTok, fans host Cousins Beach dinners under fairy lights with dishes and tablescapes designed to feel like they've stepped into Han's world. Bachelorette trips get the full TSITP treatment, down to coastal decor and themed cocktails. At Blue Haven in NYC, women gather in rooms that are 90% female, sipping on drinks named the Belly and the Conrad, watching the episodes on every screen like it's the Super Bowl of nostalgia. Why? Because TSITP is more than entertainment. It's communion, a way of stepping back into an emotional space we thought was gone, but isn't. Nostalgia, fantasy, and a little bit of irony. Part of the fandom thrives on earnestness, rewatching scenes, analyzing the music cues, and crying over Conrad's quiet sacrifices. But part of it thrives on play. Fans roast the absurdities, the tiny engagement ring, the messy fact that Belly dates both brothers. These are the jokes you make because you love something. Because fandom isn't just about swooning, it's about laughing, teasing, and turning inside jokes into community currency. And that blend of tenderness and humor is exactly what makes the fandom so alive. The ache of first love. At its heart, though, TSITP is about that one thing we never outgrow: first love. It's why episode 5 of season 3 hits like a punch to the gut, because for the first time, we see the world through Conrad's eyes. We feel his yearning, his selflessness, his quiet ache. Episode 6 doubles down, with Belly tending his injury in a moment heavy with tension and tenderness. These aren't just plot points, they're emotional flashbacks. They bring us right back to our own Conrads, the boys who broke us, confused us, lit us up, and left us forever changed. That's why critics compare Conrad to Mr. Darcy, Anthony Bridgerton, Jess Mariano, and Jay Gatsby. He's not just a character, he's an archetype. He's every unfinished story we ever had. Why it feels so real. And yet, the show isn't just fantasy. It's grounded in something real. Colleen Marshall, 37, posts breakdowns of the show's scenes on TikTok. She says, the kids and the adults deal with everything: grief, friendship, heartbreak, self-love. They're flawed. They're still growing. That's why we can see ourselves in them. She's right. Belly isn't a perfect heroine. Conrad isn't a perfect romantic lead. And that's the point. The imperfection is the resonance. Like Taylor Swift's music, which Marshall compares to Han's storytelling, the show leaves space for us to project ourselves into it, to interpret, reinterpret, and make it personal. Love then and now. For me, the deepest resonance isn't about Belly's choices or Conrad's longing. It's about the contrast between then and now. When I was younger, I ached for love that felt cinematic, all sparks, chaos, and intensity. I got lost in the pull of it, the way Belly does. But in my mid-30s, I finally found something different. Someone steady, someone emotionally present. A love that feels less like being set on fire and more like being seen. Watching Belly and Conrad make me ache for the first version of love I once wanted, and feel grateful for the second version I finally found. A time machine for women. That's the secret to The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's not just about Belly or Conrad or Cousins Beach. It's about us. It's a time machine back to the summers of our girlhood, the friendships and heartbreaks that shaped us, the music that played in the background. It's nostalgia wrapped in romance, with just enough fantasy to make us believe in happy endings again. As therapist Deborah Robbins puts it, even if we've outgrown fairy tales, most of us still carry that little voice inside asking, what if it could end happily ever after? That's why women can't stop watching. That's why we throw parties, make TikToks, and cry over fictional brothers. TSITP isn't just a show. It's an echo of who we were, a mirror of who we are, and a reminder that no matter how much we've grown up, some parts of us will always be that girl, on the cusp of summer, wanting to be wanted.